All right, last hippie practice here. Sometimes you're going to get a source and you're going to be like, WTF, Miss Keller. What is this source? There's no like sourcing at the bottom. It's a picture. We're like, what is this? Okay. I will give you hints and clues, but sometimes on your AP exam, there's not going to be hints and clues about the document. I went ahead and told you this is a primary source and it's a picture. So let's dive into it. Let's just go ahead. What do we see in the picture? James Fort at Jamestown. Okay, so we know where it is now. We know that Jamestown is in, there it is, Virginia. What do we see? We see ships coming on in. What do those ships probably have on them? Settlers, right? We see a compass rose, of course, because they're great at map making in 1607. And we see a Native American. Where's the Native American? Outside the fort. That can tell you how they feel about Native Americans, okay? So we've looked at the picture. We've done the best we can with what we have. That's kind of what we have to do sometimes. Do the best we can with what we have. So let's look at the historical context. And for today's purposes, to make this video very, very quick, I'm not going to write in complete sentences. You, my friends, must always write in complete sentences. Okay, I'm going to write that right here. You must always write in complete sentences, please. But for my purposes, I'm not going to. Haha, I'm the teacher. I get to do that. So, historical context. If we were to look at our cheat sheet, which I have right here, we would know that historical context is the target that we're hitting. The document is the bullseye. What's going on in that time period? And everything around it. So what is going on? We know that this is English colonization, right? This is an English settlement. English colonization. And we know that English colonization was rough in the beginning. Jamestown itself was founded in 1607, but my friends, do you remember what happened the first winter? The starving time? Y'all remember that? What that was called? The starving time, where half of Jamestown people died. So that's what's going on around this time period. However, y'all remember like the John Smith, he who shall not work shall not eat, whipped them into shape. He was friends with the Powhatans, Pocahontas, that whole story. And then eventually, what makes Virginia and Jamestown successful? Tobacco. So I just covered a lot of context about Jamestown in these little bullet points here. You would write it in like 2 or 3 sentences, please. Okay? Intended audience. You're looking at this and you're like, hey, Miss Keller, there's no source. I don't know who drew this. Is it really an accurate map? Was it a perfect triangle? The answer is no. But who, the author of this, the drawer or the artist, that was stupid, who do they want to see this? It's not like a real map. You wouldn't just hold this map and like walk around Jamestown and be like, there's the shoe guy, and here's the blacksmith, and there's the church, and there's my house, and there's a giant Indian outside. Okay, it's not like that. So who are they intending to see this? This isn't a map for people to use. They just want future people to see Jamestown. And does it make Jamestown look freaking awesome? Yes, it does. So maybe, was this an advertisement for Jamestown? Was this an artist rendition for the history books? We don't know, but we do know that their intended audience is maybe future, possibly. Now, intended audience isn't always 100%. Could be future historians. It could be prospective. What if this was printed in a paper in like 1619? Maybe it was prospective settlers, and they're like, wow, look at these boats. These boats could bring you to Jamestown. I would say this is a pretty good guess here. And sometimes history is guessing. Prospective settlers, if we printed this in the paper, doesn't it make Jamestown look so great? Okay, so what is the purpose? The purpose is probably to immortalize Jamestown, right? draw a picture of it looking grand so that future people look at it and be like, wow, Jamestown was great. Or for those prospective settlers, it's to persuade them to move. Come to Jamestown. We get along with the Native Americans. We have protective barriers in case the Native Americans turn on us. We have farmland. There's wide open space in Jamestown, okay? What is the point of view of the author? We don't know the author, but we know how they view Jamestown. They are pro Jamestown, right? They're saying, hey, this place looks great. We're protected here. They obviously are probably a settler of Jamestown. Okay? Now, again, you would be writing incomplete sentences, but I'm just BSing it for you real quick right here. Why is this important? Why is it important that we have this weird picture of Jamestown that's not historically accurate at all and has a giant Native American outside of it? Okay? It is important because Jamestown is the first English settlement that's permanent. Like the one by the crown, like the Plymouth doesn't count because they ran away from England and to Holland, and then they ran away from Holland even though they were British. So the first English settlement that worked, it becomes England's pride and joy. Pride and joy, and it becomes a cash cow. When I say a cash cow, you would never write that in an essay. I would find the paper and hit you with it. But what I mean by cash cow is they make a lot of money for England. Money for England. And that's why Jamestown becomes so important. How do they make money for England? Tobacco is their main thing. How would you know this? By looking at the document? Well, you wouldn't. That's why it's important that you read your textbook and listen to lectures. But that's what's going to happen on the AP test, guys. You're going to see a document and you're going to think, Jamestown, Jamestown, Jamestown. And then you're going to remember all these things. You're going to remember the tobacco. You're going to remember John Smith and Pocahontas and all that stuff. And I know you can remember it because I did this when I was your age, and I do it now. When I see Jamestown, I think about all these things because I learned them, okay? So yes, I got this wacky primary source picture that had no sourcing, but I was able to deduce a lot about it. And sometimes that's what we historians have to do. All right.